Americans. And we know the Power Fours typically get most of the notoriety and shine in the media outlets. And we're big believers in what the junior college system can do for athletes. And so we're just trying to have conversations with coaches like yourselves, programs like Odessa, and get the word out there that, if you're a dedicated student athlete, maybe you didn't hit your stride or peak in high school, there's a place for you, whether it's junior college, Division III, Division II, NAIA. But our goal is to try to get a kid from New Jersey to every one of the schools in which we talk with the coaches. So that's our main goal, and that's what we're doing to try to give back to the sports that we love. And we've met a lot of great coaches and had a lot of great conversations, and we're looking to have one here tonight.
Okay, sounds good. And by the way, I've coached at every level except Division III.
All right.
So I've done NAIA, Division I, Division II, and junior college.
All right. Well, that'll open up some other questions for us as well, too. We're excited for it.
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen, howdy and aloha. We are here, you are there, and you're now rocking with the best. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Airey Bros Radio. Tonight we're stepping back onto the track and the cross country course with none other than Coach Chris Beene, head coach at Odessa College. Before we get rolling, y'all know the drill. Make sure you hammer that like button and are subscribed to Airey Bros on YouTube. Drop a comment. Every view, review, and share helps us grow and give back to the sports we love. Follow us on Instagram, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And let's not forget, while we're here to shine a light on the programs, and coaches, and people and stories we wish we had access to growing up. If you or someone you know is chasing their dreams in cross country, track and field, of wrestling, or beyond, share this episode with them. On to our guest coach, Chris Beene, a couple of his key highlights over his coaching career. He's been inducted into both the NJCAA Hall of Fame in 2021 and the Texas Track and Field Coaches Hall of Fame in 2024. He led South Plain College to a record 32 national team championships, earning 14 National Coach of the Year and 25 National Coach of the Meet honors. He's developed athletes who went on to Olympic and World Championships at 20 plus, along with 50 plus national champions and 150 All-Americans. He's now building Odessa College reinstated program into a national powerhouse in honor of his late wife, Corey. Without further ado, it is an honor and pleasure to have you joining us this evening. We do greatly appreciate your time. Coach Chris Beene, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, we are honored to chat with you. We've actually we got a through line for you, but before we get to that through line, anywhere you would like us to send recruits, parents, anyone that might have questions about the college, or interested in the junior college route and the junior college experience at Odessa College, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Well, wranglersports.com is kind of our website where you can kind of go and look at some of the stuff. And then obviously my email address is cbeene, and my last name is B as in boy, EENE at odessa.edu. So cbeene at odessa.edu if you wanted to send me an email.
Awesome. And we'll put all that stuff in the show notes for you. So, Coach, before we get into your origin story, we do like to create through lines with our guests and for our fans. You previously did an outstanding and amazing job at South Plains. And not too long ago, back in the beginning of the summer, we had Coach Wes Miller join us after the national championship to discuss the program over there. So we know that you had a lot to do with their success and everything they got going on over there. So that's our little through line for you and for our fans. And as I mentioned, we are big fans of the junior college system, so we follow along. And yeah, it's great to see what schools are doing and how many kids are making their way to four-year institutions on athletic scholarships and beyond in the World Championships and the Olympic Games, and the World Championships are going on right now. Do you have any former athletes that are competing?
We actually have a few. Natoya Gould from Jamaica is one. Then actually Jessica Ramsey, I believe, made the team for the U.S. in the shot put. She was with me at South Plains. Jareem Richards from Trinidad is competing there. And I know I'm going to leave somebody out. I don't know if Vernon Norwood's going to run in the pool for the 4x4 or the mixed relay or anything like that. I haven't heard if he's going to go or not and run there. Obviously, I thought Fred Curley would be running. Obviously, he's dealing with a few things in his career right now, but he's one I thought might run as well. And that's all I can think of.
Cool. So yeah, it's proof is in the pudding. You can go to a junior college and be very successful and make it to the highest of highest levels. So thank you for sharing that. Coach, the way we like to kick things off here, we all have our origin stories, how we got into the sport. Mine involves a fish tank at 5 years old. Jimmy involves following me around as a young kid to my high school and college competitions. What's your origin story to the sport of track and field, and how did that lead you to coaching?
Oh, wow, that's I don't know if I've told that story in a long time. I grew up in Lubbock, Texas, West Texas, and went to Lubbock Cooper High School, and um, it's one of those situations where I played a lot of different sports: soccer, football, basketball, golf, powerlifting, all kinds of things in high school, and really did a little bit of track. Had one year I didn't do it in high school, and the coaches kind of talked me into it. And I had a coach named Chris Sperry, who had went to Angelo State and was a decathlete there, and had a believe it or not, he was in my wedding later in life, but he kind of talked me into decathlon and to go into Angelo, and I made my way there and loved the decathlon and loved track and field, and got to where I noticed that I kind of enjoyed helping others coaching wise, in practice and stuff when the coaches couldn't be everywhere. Um, and that's kind of where it kind of grew from. And, I had a buddy named AJ Moore who went down to Texas A&M Kingsville and got the head job there. And I was graduating December, and he kind of took me with him to Kingsville to be kind of a GA to start my career. So I got to skip all the high school stuff and go right into being a college coach. And then when Corey and I got married, she got a job in the management training position with HEB grocery stores. And so we had to, as soon as we got married, move to Abilene. And I talked to Wes Kitley, Coach Kitley at Texas Tech, who's really probably my number one mentor in track and field. And I coached 7 years with him, 4 at Abilene Christian and 3 at Tech. And he's one of my close friends, and learned a lot from him and Cliff Felkins that are still there at Texas Tech. But he kind of helped me get my career going, and went from Abilene Christian, 4 years there, went to Texas Tech as an assistant, moved to Wayland Baptist to be a head coach for the first time, and then the South Plains job opened, and spent 12 years there building that program, and left coaching for a little bit, and then went back to coaching, but at the high school level for a few years, and then now I'm at Odessa trying to build it here and see what we can do as trying to build a legacy for this program.
You're West Texas through and through, huh?
I am. Yes, sir.
Is it as
Coach,
windy as some of the coaches we've had on say it is?
It depends on the time of year, but it can be. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because some people think that's a real negative, but I think once you spend every day training in those adverse conditions, it actually prepares us for just about anything we
Yeah.
see. We have the heat here, we have the cold here. We don't get as cold, obviously, as it does up in Iowa or something like that, but and the wind, I think, definitely will make you a lot tougher when you step out at the national meet and compete.
Coach, you've coached at every level. Do you have a favorite?
Junior college, for sure.
Why is that?
Um, there's probably a couple reasons. I really feel like you probably make the most impact on kids as they're coming out of high school into this level. Um, the Division I stuff has gotten to where there's, it's just different in the way that, the athletes feel like, well, you deserve this or I deserve this. And there's a lot of that attitude in junior college when they come here for the most part. They're thankful for what they get. And the attitude usually is different because they know that they're usually at junior college because they needed to start there and knew that this might be their only chance to go to the next level. So they're very thankful usually. And we don't have the ridiculous recruiting windows and all that stuff Division I has, where you're out, you're traveling all the time, you're away from your family. And I got to see a lot of my kids play sports and do things at the junior college level that sometimes you don't get to do at the other levels.
What do you think some of the biggest misconceptions are of junior college athletics?
I think the number one misconception is that we can't coach, that we're here because um, we couldn't make it at the other level. And so we go down and we're like glorified high school coaches. And don't get me wrong, there's a lot of good high school coaches because I've been at that level. So I think that's also a big misnomer as far as coaching goes. But I really feel like sometimes a Division I coach might come recruit at our place, and they'll talk to us like, well, you may not know this, but this is something I've learned, whatever. And I'm like, man, I knew that 20 years ago. So I think that's the biggest thing I see.
You're reading the book that I wrote. That's what you say to them.
Yes, sir.
So, Coach, we're in the thick of, I guess for you guys, maybe the beginning of cross country season down here in South Carolina high school. We're kind of midway through, almost towards the end of the season. How are things going at Odessa right now? I know you had some talented athletes outdoors in the longer events. How are the teams shaping up? I think you got some pretty good preseason rankings.
Yes, sir. Our women are ranked #1. And it's one of those funny things that if everybody's healthy and we put it all together on the right day, I think we are the best in junior college. But I don't have a lot of depth. That we got 5, and then there's quite a bit of a drop right now between 6 and 7. Those are kids that work really hard, and I love coaching them, and obviously do a great job for us. But our top 5 are the ones that are really going to be top 20 at the national meet if we run well. On the men's side, we're ranked 5th, and it's one of those situations that embassy stuff, we've had some delayed stuff and things that we've been trying to work on and get a few through. And so if everything kind of gets through like we're wanting it to, I think we're fairly talented on the men, but it'll also be kind of like the women where our top 5 are kind of really good. And there's a little bit of a gap between 6 and 7.
And are the top 5 both on the men's and women's side of those international students?
They are. Well, I say that. That's not true. On the men's side, one of my top 5 guys is Thomas Kubala. He's a Texas kid who went to Oklahoma State and came back here kind of to the junior college experience. I think was going to help him grow and mature and get some academic things worked out. And long story short, he's done a great job. And this is his 2nd year with me, and last year he got a little injured in track, but he's healthy now and running lots of miles and probably in the best shape of his life. But yes, predominantly we are, I would say 75% international. And then we do have some younger, American kids that are on the squad too, fighting typically for that 5th, 6th, and 7th spot on the team.
And so from a recruiting perspective, is that something that you've taken advantage of because of your time in the coaching ranks and the connections that you made, the networks you made? Or are you using something like a scholar book or something like that?
A little bit of all of that. Yes,
Yeah.
sir. So my past history with some of the Division I schools that worked with me before are helping me find a few kids and place kids with me. And yes, scholar book is one. I've got a really good guy in Jamaica that's helping us. I've got another guy that deals a lot with like Tunisia and some of those kind of countries that has helped us, who ran in junior college. Chris Rengifo is his name, has done a great job finding kids for us and other programs. And then I have a really good guy that deals with some of the African countries for mainly distance kids, who helped me get Elizabeth Alanda that I had last year from Tanzania, who was national champion her first year with me. And she's now at Clemson because she ended up being a qualifier. And so she only needed the 1 year with us. And now Coach Elliott has her over there at Clemson.
I think I saw her run on Saturday. They were they were at a meet at Furman University. I went over and watched, and
Okay.
there was a young lady from Clemson that was head and shoulders above the rest of the field. And the Clemson women actually beat the Furman women, so they have a pretty solid squad this year. It'd be interesting to see how the Tigers do this fall.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Coach, when did you take over the program at Odessa?
Last year was the first year. So I was still at Anna High School, kind of finishing things up. And of course, that was kind of at the end of my wife's illness and all that kind of stuff. So they had already talked to me about kind of recruiting and doing some things, start looking for some kids. But it wasn't until the summer that I actually got hired and started full time and all that kind of stuff. And then so last year it was kind of cross country only. We did kind of get a couple of quarter miler, hurdler kind of guys from on the Jamaican side, and brought them in. That I got permission from my athletic director, and Wayne was really good with us on working with not at all being cross country and letting us kind of get in a few for the track side.
So did you think in season one cross country you guys would be as ranked as high as you are?
That's a difficult question probably to answer. In my mind, in the way that I think about building the program, yes, I guess when I first got the job, I wasn't sure that those contacts were still going to be there for me to find kids. And I think the program here at Odessa was really just kind of wanting to start with bodies, and didn't realize that I would be able to find some of the talent that we were able to find early and get them here. And, we ended up being eighth at the national meet in cross country on both sides the first year, with 3 months of recruiting. And then turned around in the half marathon. Our women were fourth and our men were third, and we actually took a trophy home. And so that was kind of a cool deal. And then we went to indoor and picked up a few in January, and really, really did well indoors. And then outdoors, there's not quite as many distance events. And so we were still decent outdoors, but not quite what we were indoor.
Is the secret recruiting?
Yes. And so I always tell everybody, people always talk about, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. Well, not if you're going to be a winner. You're a recruiter who gets to coach, not the other way around. And a lot of people get in this industry to be coaches. And if you can't get the studs there, that's always the term that we use. I hope that's okay. But if you can't get the studs on your campus, then it doesn't matter how good a coach you are. You're not going to win, without getting some quality there. And that's one of the things when you look back at South Plains that we always did is, now back then there was less international. And so we coached, we got kids from all over US and Texas and all that. And, a lot of Division I coaches sent us kids, and we were very good at taking those kids and developing them.
What do you think makes you a good recruiter?
I think I have kind of an outgoing personality, and my competitiveness is probably as fierce in the recruiting battle as it is when I'm on the track coaching and getting them ready for nationals. And so, I've even had athletes in the past where they're like, well, coach, we think we may go to this other school or blah, 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 blah. And then we'll all call mom and dad and say, hey, why are you thinking about that other school? And I'm not negative about the other school. I just want to let them know why I think we're better. And in a lot of ways, once we built it, and Blaine Wiley, who was my assistant coach for 9 years at South Plains College, who's at the sprints and hurdles coach at Alabama, was a phenomenal coach and still is. I think he's one of the best 400-meter coaches I've ever met. And he does a great job over there. And once I got him on the staff at South Plains, together, we just really bonded and did things really well together.
Coach, what's more important when it comes to recruiting, getting the kids on board or getting the parents on board?
It kind of depends on the situation and the kid. I always start with the kid. I will tell you this, with a lot of the kids I recruit, if they're single parent families, and mama's the one taking care of them, mama's very important. And so you have to get mama on board because she's about to send her baby, whoever it is, boy or girl, to us, and probably being away from home for the first time. And so I think that's really important when you're dealing with that kind of family dynamic. Now, when you got both parents at home, I think you got to sell the kid first usually, but then you got to sell the academics. I know one of the conversations that I had that was a very unique. I had a kid that I talked into signing with us years ago, and we got done, and they were dropping the kid off at campus, and the parents said, "Coach, you know why we picked South Plains over the other schools we were looking at?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd love to know," because I'm like thinking, man, I'm going to use this for recruiting purposes. And he said, well, you're the only one that talked about academics. And I said, well, that's weird because that's why we're here. And he said, no, he goes, junior college, just like all these other coaches, care about their facilities. They want to talk about their teams and how they're going to make you better and how they're going to be recruited. He goes, but most of our conversations really dealt around how are you going to help my kid graduate? And I think that's one of the ways that I separated myself a little bit with others because that's the most important thing.
Yeah,
Coach, obviously, sorry, Rich.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Obviously, you want to win, but at the end of the day, like you said, you're there for academics. So how do you have that conversation with a student athlete who might not be performing as good as they want? They're kind of teetering if they want to be in school or not, but keeping them in the books, keeping them going to class. We know that that can kind of be the issue at all levels, right? If you don't go to class, you can't compete. So how
Right.
do you keep a kid that's not performing going to class?
Well, I think it starts with the recruiting and making sure they understand that that's a priority here, that there's a reason it's student athlete, not athlete student. And I think we kind of let that early. And then, then as we start looking at grades and all that kind of stuff, at South Plains, we did more of that than we are here at Odessa. But we would, if kids weren't going to class or weren't doing the turn-in assignments, they met us at 6:30 in the morning and they carried medicine balls around the Texan Dome until we made the point very clear that you're going to, take the academic serious. Now, it is harder, I think, in today's times to do as much of that, but it's still discipline. And I also preach that, we're not here for perfection. We're here for excellence. And the bar of excellence can raise every day once you reach a level of it. And so you have to be excellent in every area of your life and not just athletics. And so the academic side of it is very important for your future and you're raising a family and way after athletics is over. And so if you really want to be a person of excellence, then you have to be one that does it in academics as well.
How important is that academic and community support at the junior college?
I think it's at Odessa College. It's like next level here. There's a lot of different backup to the backup to the backup, if you will, at Odessa College, where they really have a lot of things set up for kids to be successful. At South Plains College, we had some of that, but that was mainly, I think, pushed by me and Coach Wiley with doing things above and beyond maybe what we had to do. I mean, he and I even ran study halls at night on our own and things like that. And we spent a lot of time walking across campus and meeting teachers so that and professors so they knew that we were here for them. And I couldn't tell you how many times that I would have a professor say, you're the first coach I've met here, which I always thought that was odd. Now that wasn't, always the case, but there would be a few that just didn't have relationship with coaches because nobody ever walked over and knocked on their door and said, hey, let's talk about my kid in your class and what do we got to do to help this kid get better.
Coach, I like the medicine balls. I know it might not work in today's day and age, but Rich and I are two kids that, oh, okay, yeah, we don't want to carry medicine balls. Well, we might, but we're gonna go to class, so I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
Coach, how are the international students like in Odessa?
You know, it's something that you have to adapt to for sure. The weather, like when my Jamaican kids get here, they're like, "Oh, it's so hot, coach." And I'm like, you'll get used to it, and when we get to nationals, be ready because as hot as you think it is now, it'll be hotter when we get to May in this area. Even last year we went to nationals in Kansas, and it was blistering hot for the last day of competition. Um, but they end up the thing about West Texas that's so neat and it's so easy to sell are the people here. You just get nice people who want to help. That we have professors that the other day brought us cookies for our meet to go to, just to say, hey, we're thinking about you and care about you, and take some chocolate chip cookies with you to the meet. And uh, so when the kids have issues here or feel lonely or whatever, there's always somebody there to talk to visit with. Our dorm people here on campus are really good at just checking on the kids and making sure they're good.
Rich, I think you're setting me up with all these West Texas coaches. I think you're trying to tell me something.
I've been telling you for quite a few years, my friend. Coach, I'm curious, what is the biggest challenge that you've seen um, international student athletes face? Is it being homesick? Is it the culture shock? Is it maybe a difference in language and slang and those different things, or bonding with the American students? In your experience, what is it? If it is something, it doesn't
Well,
necessarily have to be, but
I think the first thing is getting them here.
yeah.
Getting through embassies and things like that get harder and harder, especially depends on certain countries are really difficult. Um, but yes, the homesick part of it when they first get here. A lot of them really struggle with the food when they get here to start with. It's just a lot of different foods here than maybe back home, and getting used to going to a cafeteria where you have maybe limited options on certain things, and you're having to figure out a way to eat something you may not have eaten back home. But yeah, I don't know. I've never really had an issue with them kind of blending in with our U.S. kids and making that work because most of the U.S. kids have not been around too many international kids, and
Mhm.
so when they start coming onto the team, they're just so curious of about the culture and the country they come from, and so they very quickly, I think, befriend them and begin to ask them questions, and so that typically blends and um, um, goes pretty quickly. And people always do the team bonding stuff and things with a lot of programs. And I know with team sports, when we start traveling together and working out together, I've never really had too many teams that didn't just like mesh because of just track. It's kind of a melting pot anyway
Mhm.
from all over the place, and um, I think it's pretty natural as they compete together and work out together and go through all the training together that um, I don't really have to do a whole lot of other stuff to make that work.
Yeah. Curious, American, international, specific country. Who's the best trash talker when it comes to training?
Man, I don't know about country, but I can tell you it's always the sprinters.
Yeah.
When it comes to the trash talking, your sprinters are always the ones that can run their mouth a little bit. In fact, that was always kind of the joke with my athletic director. He used to, um, I don't know if I can say this on the station, but he used to say, there's the biggest a-holes in our in around are point guards and sprinters. So um, uh, yeah, so we always thought that was kind of funny, and truthfully, it was funny because some of the sprinters we had that were internationally, we had a kid named Chavez Hart who, his life was taken a few years ago back, but from the Bahamas, it was a great kid sprinter for us. Went to Texas A&M and loved the kid, and we had a bunch of those. Fred Curley when we had him from Taylor, Texas. Was always a very quiet and hardworking guy. So we really didn't have a ton of the sprinters that kind of had the big egos and all that. So that was kind of a neat deal. We were very fortunate, but I did see a lot of that. So I kind of know where my athletic director was coming from.
Sure.
Coach, you said Odessa is above and beyond with academic support. Are there any majors that are unique to Odessa College? And what is the majority of the majors that the athletes are
You know,
studying on the team?
we kind of keep most of the stuff, at least with our international kids, of general studies, because it's so much easier for them to transfer out of here with that and not lose any hours. When you get very specific, if they go to somewhere else and they say, "Oh, we can't go that route because of this or that here at our school," then they may lose some of their hours. So we kind of keep it very general for them. Some of our U.S. kids, yeah, or coming out of high school and stuff with all the hours that they have, they've already kind of covered most of their basic stuff a lot of the time, and so they're kind of able to go a little bit more specific to a major. Our nursing school and stuff here that they've got here, and I know there's a lot of nursing school everywhere, but they just built a brand new building here on campus. It's like a mock hospital. They have like a mock ambulance, rooms where you actually can do real live hospital kind of things that I've never seen at a lot of schools. I know that the engineering programs or pre-engineering programs here are phenomenal. we even have it where the guys that go up on the lines and stuff to fix, electrical lines and stuff like that, you can do some of that. And then we have things here with HVAC and that are on the other side of stuff with people that want to work uh, and go into certain degrees here. Our welding folks here are like some of the best I've ever been around. Um, which I know we don't get to do many of that of those programs, because usually if they come here for 2 years and do that, they're probably not moving on. They're going to go to work for the oil field or something like that around here. Um, but we have a lot of the different degrees that most people have. But like I said, we try to keep it fairly general at this level so that when they get to the next level, they can immediately go into whatever major or double major or whatever that they want to.
Rich, I think that's one thing people aren't aware of the junior colleges, of all the certificates and all the programs that all these junior colleges have that no one ever talks about.
Yeah, and trade jobs are in high demand right now. There's such a shortage in so many different fields in the trades. Welding is you can make a lot of money welding. Get one of those certificates and be pretty well off. So it's something that people need to know about for sure.
Well,
Coach,
in
oh,
our
go ahead.
area here in Odessa is so oil field dominated in this area. I mean, a lot of those folks literally leave here in 2 years with whatever certificate you're talking about, and literally have a job like immediately when they leave Odessa College.
Yeah, and they're making good money.
Yes, sir.
Good money. Coach, I'm curious, over the years, obviously I graduated high school in 1994 and recruiting was much different than how it is now. Are you still making phone calls, or is things mostly through WhatsApp and maybe some Zooms?
Um, I guess I'm kind of old school because I graduated high school in '89. So I still am a little more old fashioned that way. I'm doing some better stuff with trying to get our social media stuff going here and getting that going. But most of my recruiting is done through relationship, to be honest
Mhm.
with you. These programs that, Coach Kitley over at Texas Tech, all my buddies are over at Alabama, my buddy at Clemson. We have other schools too that I've had very good relationships when I was at South Plains. And they're the ones that come across kids and say, hey coach, I may need to place this kid with you, or academically maybe they're missing some part of their core and they're going to have to go JUCO first. And so I've done more of that, and then obviously having the scholar books and things of the world where they're already picking up the phone or sending you an email saying, hey, would you be interested in this kid, and here's their marks. That part of it has gotten easier. I'll tell you what has gotten a little bit more difficult for us is finding some of the U.S. kids. Um, but I think with the new rules of a lot of the Division I schools having to cut their rosters down, I'm hoping some of that helps us, because I don't want to be all international in our team. I want to be a school that has a good mix of that, but I want some good U.S. kids to be running for me as well.
Coach, we know being a head coach, you're CEO of a business. You're running a small business. It sounds like you're doing a lot. You're going to classes, you're talking to teachers, you're doing the recruiting, you're writing out workouts. What does your position look like the majority, and how do you have time to do it all?
Well, you don't sleep much. Uh, that's number one. You know what? It's one of those deals that and I guess at South Plains, I was a lot more wound tight. And that's where having my wife at the time when she was alive and all that stuff was so good, because stress that I had accumulated during the day or whatever, I was able to go home and vent. She was so good. I struggle more now because I don't have that with her being gone. But, I still have a son that's a junior in high school who's playing soccer. And, I grew up playing soccer as well, love the sport. So I love watching him play. So it's funny, like right now, we have our cross country set every other weekend. And then the weekends in between, I go to Dallas every other weekend that we're not going to cross country to watch him play soccer. So there's just lots of hours doing things, and you just got to get to where you can manage your time and things. The things that don't matter, you've got to put on the back burner and not worry about those so much, and the ones and prioritize your day. And I think over the years I've been pretty good at that, and I've been able to delegate some things when I need to. Coach Blackwell, who was at New Mexico Junior College for several years and won 15 national titles over there as the head coach, works with me, and he's my assistant coach, and associate head coach is really the right term for him. He's phenomenal when I need him to do something, get hotels or travel stuff or whatever. He didn't even ask; he just does it. So that's what was good with me and Blaine Wiley. We just worked so good together that things got done.
Do you have a favorite aspect outside of the X's and O's?
Oh God, I love the bonding that over the time with athletes. Because I had a kid named Daryl Burgess when I was at South Plains. When I very first got there, he was a hurdler from Miami, and he had run 14:09 was his PR his freshman year before I got there. I took him over. I actually kicked him out of practice once for being late and got all over him. And he was in the weight room one day, and he's one of those guys that wanted to make sure his biceps looked good, but didn't really want to work his legs. And I got on to him, and he was like, "Coach, what do you really think I could run this year?" I said, "I think you could run 13.6s." Uh, he looked at me, his eyes got real bright, and said, "You really think I can run that fast, Coach?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "If you'll get serious about the weight room in here and what we're doing in the weight room and be less about making sure your biceps look good for the girls,
Mhm.
I think that we can do that." Well, the kid ends up running 13.46 and sets the national record that year.
Wow.
And it was that process of creating that relationship with the kid. And then all of a sudden he realized I really was in his corner to be better than he even thought in his own mind. And once you get that, I mean, so the end of that story is at nationals, after he set the national record, he was a 110 hurdler. He didn't really run the 400 hurdles for me. But I had a kid who didn't want to run the 4x4 and was kind of giving some attitude. So I walked over and said, "Hey, let's just put Daryl on the 4x4 and we'll finish the meet off that way." I said, "Where's Daryl at?" They said, "He's in his room, Coach." So they went and got him, brought him back out. I said, "Daryl, you want to run the 4x4?" He goes, "You dang right I do, Coach."
Mm.
I said, "Go get your uniform on." He came out. We put him on anchor. This is a kid who's not run the quarter really all year, and split 47 something on the anchor leg. And we ended up getting third in the 4x4. We were actually in the lead, and a couple of 45-second guys came and got him. But I don't even think, I think we were ranked like eighth going in, and we got third with a guy who wasn't even supposed to be on my 4x4, but he was so excited about running the national record earlier in the day, all that adrenaline just flowing. He just had the race of his life there.
It's fun when you can like see it in real time, the buy-in happen, you know what I mean? Like
Mm,
that light switch clicks and you see it. That's a beautiful thing.
it is.
Curious, you said you're a decathlete, so you've worn a lot of different hats and competed in a lot of different events. When it comes to the X's and O's, do you have a favorite event that you like to coach?
Hurdles.
Hurdles.
Yeah, I love coaching the hurdles. And you know why? It's because I was terrible at them.
Hmm.
In the decathlon, because I'm 6 foot tall, almost 6 foot tall, but most of my height's like in my torso and not in my legs. And so the 42-inch hurdles, you just ate my lunch in college. And so because again, it's a competitive thing. Um, I started coaching different events, and because that was one I struggled with, it was the one I wanted to know the most about. It's the one I wanted to learn how to coach. And when Daryl set the national record there, it kind of set a premise that we could have hurdlers. And then when Blaine came, I coached the 400 hurdles, and then he kind of coached the 110 hurdlers. And so we kind of worked together there a little bit. So I kind of had to branch out and coach the areas that I wanted him to be coach the areas that he was best in. And then I kind of figured out a way to coach everything else.
Coach, you mentioned the med balls as a punishment. You mentioned a story with Daryl where there was another athlete that didn't have a good attitude. How much have you had to change your coaching throughout the years based on the times of today?
Well, the initial change was when I got to South Plains because I was really kind of an easygoing guy and not, I hated confrontation, didn't really like that part. It just wasn't who I was. And as soon as I got to South Plains College, my athletic director very clearly, Joe Tubb, was like, "Hey, we we're going to have discipline here, and we're going to do it the right way, and we're going to get rid of the ones that don't." And I realized that one, to be successful, but two, to keep my job, the discipline was going to be very important. So I learned very quickly to be that harder coach a little bit. Coach Wiley was the hug 'em and hey, coach really does care about you. That's why he's on your butt kind of guy. But I had to always seem to be the bad guy. But I've mellowed over the years, just with age a little bit, and so now um, there are some times when I can go off on the athletes a little bit and let them know that, hey, that's not acceptable. But I'm not near as harsh as I probably was when I was younger.
Do you look back at when you were younger and cringe a little bit, or now having a little bit more wisdom, you're just like, that's what a young man does?
Maybe a little of both.
Mhm.
There are some things I look back and go, man, I wish I'd done that a little different, or could have done that a little different. But as far as um, the wisdom side of it, I mean, I'm still learning every day. If you're not learning, you gotta quit coaching. And I've got a lot of folks that, Dave Smith's over at Oklahoma State, and he and I coach together at Texas Tech. And, if I got a distance question about uh, what we're doing or training or things like that, then, I pick up the phone and say, "Hey, Dave, man, what do you think about this?" So, I have those guys around the country that I really respect and were good to me when I was at South Plains. And those relationships, are also how I grow. Dan Paff was the guy that was at Texas when I was coaching at Tech, and I've always had tremendous respect for him. In fact, I think he may know in his little toe that I know in everything I've ever done in my career. But just talking to him, sometimes I had to bring a thesaurus to be able to understand what he was telling me. But he was a phenomenal coach and still is, and I think he does a lot of coaching education still.
Mhm.
And Boo is another one. If you guys know who Boo is, that was at LSU, and he's another one I've learned a tremendous amount from.
I didn't realize Dave Smith was at Texas Tech at one point. I
He
learned
was,
something new today. That's
yes, sir.
fascinating. So I'm curious, you got Dave on in the phone and you talk to him regularly when you have distance questions. Are the cross country runners and distance runners at Odessa, are you dabbling in the double threshold training at all?
A little bit. It's funny that that conversation tends to be one that they want to bring up all the time, and we have done some of that this
Mhm.
year. In you know, I've my philosophy has always been a middle of the road mileage guy. And because in junior college, I've never had the depth to really be the high mileage guy. And I also, the low mileage guy, I never was really that guy because I knew that there were the benefits to, putting in the miles and stuff for the body and all that. And but this year, I've got a couple of guys, Thomas Kubala, the guy I was telling you about earlier, that's the Texas kid, and I have another kid from Aubrey. Um, those guys have really benefited from running 100 miles a week. And like I said, that's not typically been who I am, but I'm really letting the kids dictate a little bit by what I'm seeing on whether or not, the 60, 70, 80 miles is enough, or if to be really good and go to the next level, they need more.
Coach, at the beginning of the podcast, you listed a bunch of names of athletes you've coached that are at the World Championships right now. How awesome is that for you to see all these athletes that you've worked with and you're like, yep, coached him, coached her.
Oh, it is awesome. And the good Lord, I think, has blessed me with a lot of things, and that's one of them. Because um, man, it's just, I don't know, over the career of being able to be a small West Texas town kind of guy, and to go from a Division II school to being able to coach folks that you're watching on TV in the Olympics and run on relays and win gold medals. And I coached Sally Kipiego, who went to Texas Tech after me, and won the silver medal in the 10K for Kenya. Those kind of things are really cool. And it's also something that I like, that my friends, that I hang out with or whatever, will ask me questions about. And so it's really good to, something just to visit about, especially when track's kind of more relevant, like every 4 years the Olympics were relevant, and then, the world championships are kind of relevant, at least when the sport's on TV.
Mm-hmm. Coach, with those 20 plus world or Olympic athletes that you've coached, what has separated them from the pack?
Well, obviously the talent level there coming in is got to be to a certain level. They were extremely hardworking athletes, but they were so talented. Natoya Gould, that's the national record holder for Jamaica in the 800. I mean, she came in her freshman year, ran 2:01 for me, and ran 51:54 in the quarter as a freshman. And you don't do that in 1 year, no matter how good I'm coaching, without the ability to work hard and be extremely talented. So, I love all the posters and things that always talk about, hard work. And don't get me wrong, I know that's a big part of it. But you do have to have the certain level of talent that you're born with to be able to get there. But the hard work obviously is what makes that work.
Have you ever seen anyone that doesn't have that has the talent but doesn't necessarily have the hard work that can still get to a pretty high level?
Uh,
Or
that's
does that
rare.
phase out after a certain point?
There is a few that I've seen maybe that are so talented they can make it, but yeah, right. Those are typically kids that get hurt because they don't train and do all the things the extra things that you need to do with, sleep and nutrition, and because they don't care about the whole package and what it takes to be good. So I don't know that I've ever been around one that went to the Olympic level or world championship level that didn't have both. Now, I have seen the ones that overwork themselves, and if you don't understand recovery and how that stuff works, sometimes you have ones that burn out or get injured because they literally are almost too over the top on the work side of things.
Yeah, a wise man once told me there's no such thing as overtraining, just under recovery.
I like that.
Yeah.
I may have to steal that one.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. Coach, I'm curious, we're winding down here, but how is the season been going so far in the fall? Have you guys had some meets? Has the top five, have they been tested?
So yeah, we started off, we went over to Abilene Christian for the very first meet. On the men's side, I didn't have anywhere near my whole group, and one of my kids on the guy's side was sick. So we didn't, individually my guy won it, my Kenyan guy, but as a team, we were kind of average there. On the women, we won it and ran pretty well. I think we went 1, 2, 3, 5, and like 13th. So it was a pretty good showing on the girls' side. And that was with one of my girls who came in and stepped in a hole that one of my international girls got injured right off the bat. And so we finally had her at the Texas Tech meet, which was our second meet this past weekend. And we were third overall, and I thought we ran pretty well. West Texas or WT beat us, and they're Division II. They're ranked top 2 or 3 every year, and their girls team's good. And then Texas Tech beat us, so you're talking a Division I, Division II, and then we were third and did a pretty good job of distancing ourselves, I think, from some of the other junior colleges that were at the meet.
Give a shout out to Coach Zach Daniel over there at West Texas, former guest Airey Bros Radio.
he ran for me at South Plains College for a semester.
Okay.
So he was one of mine at one time.
There's another through line.
Yeah.
Well, Coach, I'm curious. You've coached at all the levels. You've experienced the Division I, Division II, NAIA. What is the mindset of the Division I coaches when they're competing against junior colleges? Is it something that they shy away from, or do they not mind it? The cream always rises to the top mentality. How is it?
Um, that's kind of a mixed bag, I think.
Yeah.
I know from a coach's perspective, the Division I schools want us at their meets. In fact, sometimes they'll, not charge you an entry fee, pay for your hotels, things like that they can do legally because they want those kids to come on campus.
Hmm.
And obviously, they want to see them compete against their kids because they're trying to figure out, in recruiting, is this a kid I want to, spend money on? Um, from the actual maybe the Division I athlete side, sometimes there's the well, you're at junior college, so you must not be very smart kind of thing that we've gotten in the past, and it really has nothing to do with that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've had some kids that really struggle with school in junior college. That's part of it sometimes, but that's not all the kids. And I can tell you the team I've got right now here at Odessa College is very bright. Our cross country group last year was I don't know if, I think our women may have been the highest GPA as a team in all of junior college. I mean, we've got um, a really good group, and was very excited about what we did academically last year. And now that we're kind of adding more track athletes, the international side that you were asking me earlier about, one of the struggles, and sometimes the language is a struggle there. But we've got such good professors here at Odessa College that they really work with them and, figure out a lot of ways to help them. So, I mean, we've even got some folks over in the dorms and our international admissions lady who have, helped those kids like get coats and jackets when it's cold and things like that. I mean, we just got people that want to give. And again, that just kind of goes back to the kindness of West Texas.
There you go, Jim. What kindness.
Coach, what's the rest of the season look like? What are the key meets we should keep an eye on?
Well, we're going to be at the Jamboree here in about 12 days or whatever. So looking forward to that one. And again, since Dave Smith and I coached together, he kind of, last year let us come and run with that. And really, really good meet. Gosh, man, what a beautiful course. And they've done so much to upgrade that thing over the years. And so we love that place. And then we're kind of going to 2 weeks later go to New Mexico Junior College because that's where region's going to be, and we want to see that course before we get there. And then 2 weeks later we go back there for regionals, and then we're going to go to Iowa Central this year, who's hosting nationals for both cross country and half marathon championships there.
We
So
all
we're
be running.
oh, go ahead.
I'll go ahead, finish.
Well, I was just going to say, and we're praying that it's not snowing and 20 below zero. And I know that they're praying for the other.
Yeah. I'm curious, are you guys going to field a half marathon team again? Make a go at that as well?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're going to be really competitive on both sides there.
Now, is that something where are you doing any sort of half marathon specific training, or is it kind of like we're just training for the 8K and the 6K or the 5K, and then we'll just roll the dice and know that our training is preparing us to run a half marathon?
Well, I mean, our long run, obviously every week that we do is in that ballpark. I mean,
Hmm.
some of my guys are running, 16, 17 miles in their long run. So they're getting obviously a lot of what they need for that there. And I don't know anybody that really, I mean, everybody kind of trains for cross country and
Yeah.
chases that title and then lets their mileage kind of speak for itself when they go to run the half marathon. But I'm so competitive in everything that I do. I can't let anything just go.
Hmm.
So when it comes to whether it's a half marathon, cross country, indoors, outdoors, my goal is at some point in time, I want to be the first coach ever to win all 8 titles, 4 on the men and 4 on the women. And, we won 5 of the 8 twice when I was at South Plains College. And I don't know that anybody's ever won 5 in 1 year other than Coach Wiley and myself when we were there at South Plains. I may be wrong, but that's to my knowledge.
I'm curious, as someone who's coached Division I, Division II NAI, do you think the half marathon would be something that would be a cool addition to some of those other divisions? I know NAI used to have a marathon, I believe, at one point
Yeah.
too.
And when I was at Wayland Baptist, I actually had a marathon kid
Hmm.
who ran. He didn't score anything, but he did run and finish it at the national meet. And I mean, I don't know. It's I love it. Used to we had 2 weeks in between. So yeah, or I say you had a weekend in between, and then you'd go back somewhere else for the half marathon. And now it's 4 days after um, cross country. And I think from that perspective, I love that idea because budget wise, you're not killing your school to have to travel to two different separate
Mhm.
places and all that. So it's kind of a neat deal. I mean, we enjoyed it. I love getting out there, believe it or not. I know I'm kind of a bigger guy and a little bit overweight and trying to lose some of this, but I got out on my bike and rode the course with the kids and watched them compete. And I love the half marathon. I think it's a lot of fun. I think the kids look forward to it. Now I say that your lower, your kids that are, if I got a Jamaican girl right now who's a pretty good 1500-meter runner. I didn't run her last year in the half marathon, and I think that she would have fought me on it. And but this year, I think that if we decide to ask her to run, not only would I think she'll help us a little bit, and I think she'd be happy to run it. So I think the kids just, I mean, when you put in all that mileage, and you're running a 5K or an 8K, there's a test there, but there's something in most of these kids that are like, I really do want to go run a half marathon or if we had the marathon, I'm sure somebody would want to do that. I'm glad we don't do that, but
Yeah.
I wish that other levels had the half marathon because I really think they would love it as well.
Yeah.
Coach, as preseason rankings come out, do you look at them and go, man, they know we're here. I wanted to sneak up on some people?
Absolutely. In fact, that's the conversation I had with my assistant coach. I was like, I didn't want to come out ranked number one. I want everybody to think that Odessa's still rebuilding that thing and trying to get it going, and then yes, get the nationals and go, hey, here we are. But on the girls' side, once they um, ranked us number one, and now if Elizabeth had not left me and gone to Clemson, and I would have kept her with this other five that I've got, we would have been six deep pretty we'd have been pretty tough for anybody. And I think even going to with that group going to Oklahoma State Jamboree, I think we could have been a top 3 or 4 team with all the Division Ones there. I don't know that we're quite that without her. But she was my national champion last year, and I think our girls team would have definitely got some eyeballs looking at us over at the Jamboree if I'd had all six of those girls.
When it comes to the track program and building that, I know you're a decathlete, but you have some amazing distance runners. Are you trying to build it from the distance and then expand to the other events?
Yes, and typically that's not kind of been the way I've done it. When I was at South Plains, we very much started in the middle and worked our way out. So we were 400, 800, which we ran 301, set the national record when I was there at South Plains College with three freshmen and a sophomore.
Wow.
So we ran really fast with our quarter milers, and I had a lot of 800-meter kids from time to time that would run on that 4x4. So we started with that being kind of our bread and butter, and then worked our way out. And then we did a lot, had a lot of really good field event kids over the years when I was there. And here at Odessa, it's a really different plan because they started with cross country first. So we had to kind of do it that way. And then, obviously with they're adding to the facility each year as we go with, high jump pits, pole vault pits, and all the things you got to buy. They've kind of broken that into segments. And so, like, we don't really have any throwers yet this year, but we have jumpers and hurdlers and sprinters and all that. Next year, we'll be able to kind of move into the area of having throwers. Now, I do have some multi-event girls, so they will throw the shot and jab and all that. But before we really have a truly what I consider full team with throwers and everybody, that won't be till next year. So we're going to try to find this year a way to win it a little different than I ever have. Maybe be competitive for a national title there or two with everything from the jump, sprints, and distance, and find a way to do it that way.
I appreciate that insight. As someone who only ran for wrestling at a certain point, so I never really participated in track in high school. We've talked to some coaches, and we've had some coaches say, "Oh yeah, we're a distance program in track," and I had to talk to Rich afterwards. I was like, what's he talking about? I thought track you do." So I appreciate that
Yeah.
perspective and how you're building the team a different way. I have full faith that you're going to get it done. So excited for track as well. Before we get into the Final Four, if Rich doesn't have another question for you, is there anything about Odessa College or you as a coach that we haven't covered that you want our audience to know?
Oh gosh. Well, man, I don't know. It's a great area. Like I said, I'm a West Texas guy. Um, Coach Segrist, who was here back in the 80s, James Segrist, I kind of like to mention him because he was a legend. I mean, he coached world-class people here. In fact, I still have like circuits and things that I have in folders that have James Segrist's name on them that he created. And that's the name of our stadium. So when they decided to bring track back here and gave me the job to do it, they built a stadium for us here, and named it after James Segrist. And so that's probably, I always tell people that I've always seemed like when I went to junior college, I follow legends. James Morris, if you guys know who he is, was at South Plains College and just coached a ton of great kids there, and everybody loved James Morris. And so I kind of followed him. So I had a lot to prove there. And then, then I get this jobs, and James Segrist is the legend here. And so, every day I wake up, both jobs when I was there and now that I'm here, and realize that I have big shoes to fill in whatever program I'm in. And I'm excited because I think that Odessa College is going to be big time, and hopefully sooner than later.
Well, I'm sure at some other schools, coaches are taking over after you left and say, man, I got some big shoes to fill. So I think it's the same across the board.
Uh,
Rich, do you have another question for Coach?
Well, I was just going to say, we do love D Brown over here at Airey Bros Radio, but we're going to be praying for sunshine for you, Coach.
I appreciate that. Dee's an old friend. We hung out a little bit at cross country a little bit last year, and so he and I talk. And it's funny because when I was at South Plains, we were like mortal enemies there. I mean, we just didn't even hardly talk, and there was a little bit of I don't know if it was animosity, but there was just such a competitive spirit that we just didn't hang out. And now, like I said, I'm older, I'm a little different. Um, you know, we went and sat down and with some of the other coaches, and they ate some food and drank a little bit and hung out and just enjoyed each other's company, and those were things that I really struggled doing when I was a younger coach.
And now you both just don't talk to Coach Mark Beerbaum.
Yeah, there's some truth in that statement. Uh, Mark's okay. We
No,
just, but again, it's one of those things that um, people always ask me, Coach, so and so doesn't like you, or so and so. Well, I love that because if you're liked by everybody, you're not winning.
yeah.
And so, I want people to I don't purposely go out of my way for them to not like me, but I'm just saying if everybody likes me, I'm not doing my job. And same thing with some of those other coaches that I'm looking forward to dethroning. It's one of those deals that I may not like them now, but I'd love to like them down the road because that means they ain't winning.
To be clear, if Coach Beerbaum's listening, we are fans.
Oh, we
So
love him too. Yeah, for sure.
just,
I didn't mean
just
to
to
leave
be
that out.
clear,
We love you,
So
Mark.
just to know
yeah,
Richie's joking.
no,
Coach,
he's been good, and we talk at meets and stuff. So he and I have a good relationship. Just I don't know him as well as like I know D Brown is. Those guys up there.
so Coach, Final Four, but I have a 1A of the Final Four because you've
Okay.
mentioned you're from West Texas a couple times through and through, and being a huge pro wrestling fan that I am, back in the 80s when you were growing up, pro wrestling was huge in West Texas. Did you grow up watching pro wrestling?
I actually did. The Von Erichs were the ones that I loved watching when I was a kid. So all of that group was really fun to watch when I was younger. I probably kind of stopped watching it when it turned into like The Rock and those guys. I really did. I was kind of too old for it at that point, maybe. But yeah, when I was a young kid, my granny was a huge wrestling fan, and if
Mhm.
I went over to her house, wrestling was on her TV. So and so we watched the Von Erichs a lot when I was young.
Go ahead. You do it. I won't steal your thunder.
So another through line. We just had Ross and Marshall Von Erich, Kevin's two boys, on the
Yeah.
podcast, and we've had them on before. They are friends of the Airey Bros, so that's why I asked that question. So that warms my heart as a pro wrestling
Oh,
fan that you
absolutely.
grew up watching the Von Erichs.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the first real Final Four I got for you. Are you a coffee drinker?
I'm a sissy coffee drinker. Can I say it that way? Because I don't drink it black. My assistant coach does. I'm a Starbucks guy if I have to drink coffee. Believe it or not, and I know this sounds horrible. I drink soft drinks and I have for a lot of time, and I've kind of gotten to where I've gotten rid of most of those now because I'm trying to lose weight and get a lot of the sugar out of my diet. So I'm doing less. But my whole life, I've really, I've been a Dr. Pepper guy my whole life
Mm,
almost.
Dr. Pepper's good.
Yeah, I always tell people on the eighth day God created Dr. Pepper.
There you go.
Have you ever had cheer wine?
I have not.
It's like a North Carolina, South Carolina staple. It's like a cherry flavored soda.
Huh.
Similar, not as, I guess maybe not as spicy as Dr. Pepper, but it's delicious nonetheless. So,
Gotcha. I'll have to try that next time I
yeah.
see it.
Coach, do you have any daily practices or rituals you do on a regular basis to show up as the strongest version of Chris Beene?
Well, one of the things that I learned from Coach Kitley when I was with him at Abilene Christian when he won his 29 national titles, um, we always had a team meeting on Monday. And so that the kids were informed, that they knew what was expected of them. And expectation is big. I mean, if kids know that there's high expectations for them to achieve high things and to do things well, and you set that meeting every Monday, first thing. In fact, we had our team meeting today and got that done at 2:30. So that's something I learned from him. I have great respect for Coach Kitley. I mean, he's won 31 national titles, two at the Division I level and 29 um, at Abilene Christian at Division II. And but I always think it's neat that his protege has 32 national titles. So I get to tell him I have one more than he does.
Coach, what are you listening to right now? Music, podcasts, audiobooks? Are you reading anything?
No, I don't. My learning comes more from talking to people. I love sitting down with coaches when we go to convention. I learn a lot because I'll go sit down with coaches and visit with them. Music for me, it's funny. My daughter is just graduated from UT Arlington and is 22 years old, and she's got me hooked on listening to 21 Pilots. I went to a concert and saw them last year in concert, and they were fantastic. So they're probably my favorite band right now. I like Imagine Dragons and stuff like that. So if I'm doing music, it's typically escape. It's not anything towards training or anything. And I do continue to go through I love the Jack Daniels running formula stuff
Mhm.
because I use the VDOT stuff with my runners because it allows me to let that to be the science for me, if you will, and then me to focus on uh, the kids. And I think the one thing that I'm unique, because I believe that if you listen to your body, it tells you a lot of the answer as you're going. And so I talk to the kids and say, how do you feel nearly every day? And when I'm asking them that question, I'm not really saying, hey, how you doing? I'm saying, how does your body really feel? Do I need to change the workout today? And I think that a lot of coaches get so wrapped up into, I wrote this on a piece of paper, we have to do it today. And as I go through the workout, I'm very big at changing on things here or deleting something here or occasionally adding something. So I'm just one of those coaches that really listens to the athlete and tries to make a lot of science decisions in my mind to help them get better and to run at a very high level. And I think that's one of the things I've done different, and it has a lot to do with recovery.
Yeah, I love the VDOT stuff. I wish I would have had that when I was going through my competitive days, or at least I would have
Mm.
listened to the people that were talking about it when I was going through my
Yes,
competitive
sir.
days, because
Absolutely.
there's just something to be said of that. Like sub threshold level
Yeah,
and being
yeah,
at that and the response that you get from it, it's unbelievable. And it's another one of those things where you see those light bulbs when the kids get into it and they understand it. And
mm,
it makes it very simple for the kids to understand it too. You know, I pull up the calculator on my TV
mm,
board in the classroom, and I just put their time in, and I'm like, all right, this is what we're doing. And I make them do the math and everything, and
right.
kind of helps them be a student of the sport a little bit more. So,
Sure.
um, shout out to Coach Daniels, rest in peace. Coach, last one we got for you. It's a lighthearted one to close it out. Maybe it's a unique food item in West Texas. Maybe it's a beverage. We know we've had a lot of coaches on. They're golfers. They're fishermen. Do you have a guilty pleasure?
Yeah. I do love to play golf when I can. I don't get to do that very much. I love Japanese food. I love to sit and when they cook it in front of you and
Hmm.
have all the fire and all that kind of stuff. And my son, that's his favorite place to eat pretty much. So I really enjoy taking my kids. If I have a guilty pleasure, I'm a movie guy. I love if they end up taking away movie theaters, I don't know what I'm going to do. Because I love getting my kids and going to, go to see an Avenger movie or something like that and sit there together and get some popcorn and some
Dr. Pepper?
Dr. Pepper, yes, and I love the watermelon sour
Sour
water.
Patch Kids?
Yes, and we eat that stuff at the movie theater. So it's just a way I love to bond with my kids. I'm very much a family man, and again, that's one of the reasons that I love the junior college side of it because I'm allowed to continue to be, I think, a family guy. And it's really hard sometimes with if you're going to be competitive at the D1 level, it's so cutthroat in the recruiting that it's hard to ever get days with family like I get to do at junior college.
Well, Coach, you're speaking to my heart because I am a movie geek myself as well.
Perfect. All right,
Um,
tell me what your favorite movie is then. Do you have one?
I d- well, so this is gonna make me Big Lebowski is my favorite movie.
Oh gosh, that's
It's
a
not
blast from the
it's
past.
not a cinema movie, but
uh
it's a movie that I love through and through. What's your favorite movie?
It's funny. Almost all of my favorite movies are um, action movie. I love the action movie side of things, and um, you know, uh, Jack Reacher is one of my favorites. Probably my favorite movie though of all time was, gosh, I just went blank. The Last Samurai.
All right.
Um, so I love that movie because I don't know. There's a coaching side of me that loves that when he's talking about how the Japanese culture and stuff with how they do things every day with such love and perfection of their art. And I guess that flows to me with coaching. When you get kids, I have a saying that I always tell kids that you never really truly reach your potential until you learn to love the process. And so that's always one of the things that I always tell our kids is I have another one that's habit will take you further than desire that I got from a preacher that preaches on wisdom. And I love that one because what you do habitually doesn't matter how you feel, you'll do it whether you want to or not. And people that do it by feel will say, well, I'm too tired today, or I don't want to get out of this chair. So habit's more important than what you desire. And I also believe that just being committed to the process and the love of the process is so important. I think I'd have been a much better football player in high school. I hated the process, loved the games, and loved playing on Friday night, but I hated getting beat up during the week. And so there's guys though in football that, man, they love the process every day. They love getting out of bed and going and playing football, and they love that physicality. I didn't like that, but in track, I love being out there with the kids. I love coaching. I love watching them learn and figuring out stuff and getting better every day. And so, um, that's probably one of the reasons I've been somewhat successful in certain things.
Enjoy the process. That's a mantra of the Airey Bros as well. I must ask, did you have a favorite movie this summer?
This summer, yes, it's bad because I'm trying to think of which one was. Um, I like the Fantastic Four.
All right.
That was really good. being somebody that's older and is, from the 80s and stuff, and some of that stuff was before that, the way they kind of set it up. But I love the way they kind of went back,
Yeah.
to earlier times and stuff, and kind of put that into the universe kind of thing that they were doing. And I thought it was kind of a neat deal. So that was kind of the one I liked. I really enjoyed that movie.
All right. Yeah, I enjoyed that as well too. Knowing that you're a superhero guy, I don't know if you do shows, but if you do and you haven't, check out Peacemaker. They're on season 2 right now.
I've seen like when I scroll on Prime or whatever, I've seen it. I just haven't started. If you haven't watched this Reacher, the series, Reacher is the best thing I've ever watched. It is phenomenal, and that guy is huge. I mean, it's funny because we look at Tom Cruise, who played the original, and you look at the guy who's playing this now, he's a monster. But it is such a good all 3 series, and I know they're making a 4th one. I can't wait for it to come out.
Jim, you want to?
You go,
Yeah.
you go.
So, Coach Mick Betancourt he's an actor and a writer?
He's an executive producer.
Okay. Mick
Yeah.
Betancourt is an executive producer, Reacher, and he was also a guest of ours on.
Oh my gosh.
He was he's had some crazy stories in his life as his upbringing and stuff with his parents passing and living on his own at a very early age. But he was a
Right.
wrestler, and he talks very impactfully about or very powerfully about how wrestling had impacted his life and just kind of given him that continue to fight and do better. So he was gracious enough to come on and join us for an episode. But yeah, he's part of Reacher. So
Yeah, that's awesome, man. I love that show. I mean, it's Castle used to be my favorite. I love Castle for all the years. My wife and I watched Castle together, but I think that finally Reacher may have surpassed as my favorite series of all time.
okay,
We're gonna have to
check
pull
it
the
out.
trigger, Rich.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
Coach, thank you so much for your time this evening. The more and more we talk to junior college coaches like yourself, I keep saying, Rich, the last chance you producers, they're blowing it not doing junior college cross country because there are some great stories, and there's some great stories going on right now in junior college cross country, and I can't wait to see what you guys do at nationals. So best of luck the rest of the season.
Well, I appreciate it. And guys, thank you so much for letting me do this. I got to be honest, this is the first time I've ever been on a podcast. I mean, I've been interviewed, but nothing like this, where, you really get to talk for a long time and answer a lot of different questions. And so I really appreciate you guys. This was, and you guys made it easy for me to do. It's just really been fun. So I appreciate you guys. And I don't know, we'll give us a couple months. We'll see what happens with our team. And hopefully, like I said, it's not too cold in Iowa when we get to nationals.
Well, we do appreciate you, Coach. And like I said, we will be praying to the running gods come November 7th and 8th that the sun is shining in Fort Dodge, Iowa. No slight to those Iowa schools or our friends in the Jayhawk Conference either. We've got a lot of people we're rooting for come November, but it's been an honor and a pleasure to chat with you. And yeah, we're looking forward to seeing what goes on in the fall and in the future and challenging, some of those other schools in the fall, but, getting back grinding it out with your old stomping grounds in South Plains and seeing what you can do. We're excited for it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is Coach Chris Beene from Odessa College. Make sure you go check them out on the socials. Let them know the Airey Bros sent you. Give them a little bit of love. We will be back on Wednesday night. We're going to stay in Texas. We're going to be talking to Jesse Parker from Blinn Junior College. So that's a school that has been known to do some pretty special things over the years in junior college cross country and track and field. So we're excited for that one. And we're going to continue this Texas tour to see if we can convince Jimmy that West Texas or Texas in general might be the next location for the Airey Bros. So thanks for tuning in tonight.